accomplished author. I'd like to welcome the program Jas Hammonds. Jas, thanks for stopping by, and we're going to talk about your debut novel, We Deserve Monuments. And it's been very, very successful. Jas, thanks for stopping by, and also talk about your upcoming YA novel, Thirsty. How are you, Jas?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
I mean, it must have been amazing, right? To have such great success on your debut novel. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it was really overwhelming. It's been over a year since We Deserve Monuments came out. And so I'm just excited and a little anxious about how the follow-up will be perceived, even though they're very different books. But either way, I'm really looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And what do you think that when you wanted to become a writer, did you think that this can be, was it this quickly, or were you working hard to get to that debut novel?
Oh, that the debut novel was 6 years in the making. So it was very long, arduous process. A lot of times where I was like, I'm giving up on this. And but yeah, writing just wouldn't let me go. I've always loved writing. I've always loved books. And so I just kept getting drawn back to it.
This YA novel is such an important one at this time period, in my opinion. What's happening with teens in general, and
Mhm.
the struggle mental health wise, and addiction. Perfect timing. What made you kind of go from this one, that was We Deserve Monuments, to this YA type novel? What made you kind of transfer over to some other topic area?
Yeah, I always think of We Deserve Monuments as a book that I wrote when I was really mad at the world, and Thirsty is a novel that I wrote when I was mad at myself because I was going through my own personal struggles with addiction and my relationship with alcohol, and so I wrote it when I was just in a really vulnerable, tender place. So, like, and I was just writing it for me essentially. And then as I started unfolding this story and uncovering more about it, I realized that this, could potentially be really relatable to a lot of people and a lot, especially teenagers. Um, like, I just think that I had my first drink when I was 15, and so it's not too young to talk about these topics.
No, it's not, and we all pretty much have had that experimentation as a teenager in alcohol, and hope God forbid if it was drug abuse.
Mhm.
I mean, alcohol is very rampant, especially in the teenage years, and then we talk about drug use and vaping and just all these different things as a teen, and it's a lot of it has to do with just basically taking chances. As
Mhm.
teens, I guess our brains are not, formed in the specific point to do that,
Yeah.
to make the right decisions. But
Yeah.
ultimately, if you look at a lot of teens today, what they that had to go through COVID,
Hmm.
that's a different story. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that we're not finding the healthiest activities for teens to do anymore,
No.
right?
Hmm. And I wanted it to, like, I wanted to tell the story, but I didn't want it to be like, really didactic or like a dare seminar. Like, I don't know if you had to go through those
Yes,
in
I did.
school of just
Yeah.
like, this is bad, like finger wagging. I didn't want to do it like that. I just wanted to be really honest and vulnerable and try to do it with even some humor.
And that's the thing, right?
Mhm.
Is come up with a way to do that. And how do you kind of try to get into a teenager's mind when you write?
Oh, I read a lot of YA, so I think that that really helps to really stay tuned into what is going on, like in the young adult publishing landscape. And I also do a lot of school visits, and so I get a lot of FaceTime and one-on-one with teenagers. And at first I was really nervous about my first school visit, and I'm like, like I had created these mythical teenagers in my head that were like, no, they're gonna like eat me alive. And then I came into the classroom and I'm like, oh, you all are like dealing with the exact same problems that I was dealing with when I was in high school 15 years ago. So yeah, I think that young people are just brilliant and they deserve stories that reflect a variety of experiences.
And what would you say specifically how you create your characters? I talk to authors all the time.
Mhm.
You guys create your own world. So
Yeah,
you are mad at yourself at that
yeah,
time. And
yeah,
when you're writing to for therapy, which
yeah,
is a great thing.
yeah.
And then yet you're creating through that process. your own reality world of
Right.
characters and development, and how do you relate these characters, and how do you come up with ideas for each character and how they develop as human beings throughout the book, or if it's going to be a series.
I get a lot of inspiration from my real life friends and loved ones and family. I think I try to sprinkle a little bit of them into every book that I write, but my day job is also a flight attendant. And so I call myself a professional eavesdropper because I just hear hundreds of conversations every day and people are just fascinating. And I think that I'm just at this point really attuned to listening to people. And so that definitely helps when I'm creating fictional people.
So what's next for Jazz? Are you gonna have this gonna become a series, or
Oh, I mean, I'd love that, but publishing is, in business and industry. And as of right now, Thirsty is the last book that I have on contract currently, but I hope to keep selling more books and just telling more stories.
I see you're saying, but you're still writing, right? You just
Oh,
can't.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, there's truly like I'm not even trying to be coy. Like there's nothing to talk about yet because I haven't sold another
Is it
book.
so? It's a challenge, right? Even
Yeah.
once you get published, to get published again.
Yes. And that's something that I didn't understand when I was younger and reading. I'm just like, oh, this person's an author. They're set for life. And like, no, it's like a continuous, like trying to prove yourself. Like, are your sales good enough to warrant another book
Right.
and that kind of
And your
stuff?
fan base and all those
Yeah.
different things. And see,
Yeah.
and this is the problem that I guess a lot of authors that are self-published don't understand. The challenges that publishing companies are having to sell books now. That it's not as easy anymore. It's a process, and it's the fan base, and you got to build your fan base, and you got to get the people who've read your book to want to read another book,
Yeah.
and you have to engage with them. That's why you do the school visits. So that
Hmm.
must be perfect as a flight attendant, right? To visit schools in between
Yeah.
the different things. So you have pretty good
Yeah.
setup that way.
Yeah, I mean, I try to keep them pretty separate. Like, I don't really talk about my writing when I'm on the plane because I don't want to be that
Oh,
annoying
no, no. I mean,
person.
like you have those breaks in between
Yes,
where
yes.
you can
As
hit.
far as
Yeah.
flexibility and
Yeah.
scheduling, it's like the perfect job. So, like for this, I'm going on tour for my book this week, and so I can have a week off and not worry about flying. And yeah, it's pretty great setup.
And you have some of the fringe benefits of going and using and jumping on a flight and going somewhere else. So if
Yeah.
you want to go and say, hey, I want to do a book signing here, you at least have the trans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
So there's definite those things. So listen here, so
Hmm.
where are you going to be doing some of your book signings this week?
Yeah.
You
So
said you're on a tour. Mhm.
I am going on tour. I launch the book tomorrow, the 14th, in the Bronx, and then I go to Ann Arbor, Michigan, St. Paul, Minnesota, St. Louis, Missouri, and Chicago, ending in Chicago next weekend.
It's got to be fun to get in front of people that have read some of your books and do these events, right? They're
It
fun.
is. It is. It's like wild too, because like when I was signing, like I went to a library festival a couple weeks ago, and I was signing copies of Thirsty, and people were in my line that were like, "I loved your first book," and it was just like different from being a debut when nobody knows like who you are and you're like brand new. So that was really cool to like have people that
Uh,
recognized my
I'm
name.
telling you, if they recognize you and you go on tour, you need to go and keep writing.
Hmm.
That's my yes. And then take those people that you meet, have them become social media followers of yours, and continually give them content. And you have
Hmm.
something very powerful to go with your literary agent to get another deal. That's my
Thank
take. So,
you.
all
Well,
right,
thank
best
you
place.
so
Yeah,
much.
you're welcome. Best place people can check you out. Where can they go? The book is available tomorrow, as you said, in all finer bookstores. But
Yes.
where
It
else
is.
can we reach you? Yeah.
Yeah, it's available tomorrow. You can follow me on Instagram at Jazz Hammonds, as well as my website is jazzhammonds.com. I have the links to purchase both my books on my website, and you can reach out to me on the contact form.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks again for stopping by.
Of
Appreciate it.
course. Bye.
All right. You're listening and watching the Neil